Turned me into a spaghetti and meatball lover. I never thought I'd see the day. Go off of instincts, add more cheese. I can't not do it. What's up? It's Deb from Two Market Girls. Welcome back to another what I ate in a day sort of video. I don't know. But just like the other videos, it's not gonna be everything I eat in a day. It's just gonna be one specific thing that I'm eating in this day that I really want to show you, because this recipe has been kind of a game changer for me. In my home cooking experiences these days, I have found a pasta recipe that has just completely changed pasta for me forever. And every time I make it, I think I need to share this at least on the channel because it's so good. And it's not an original recipe. It is a recipe from Chef Roy Choi, and he makes this recipe on The Chef Show, which is a cooking show on Netflix. It's not vegan. The recipe isn't vegan, the show is not vegan, but the recipe is pretty easy to veganize. So after I watched the episode, I made the recipes based just on what I saw them doing in the show. So it's spaghetti and meatballs, and I have never liked spaghetti and meatballs before very much in my life until now. And honestly, the key is probably the sauce. This tomato sauce, it's amazing. It makes me feel powerful things about pasta. Like, you could call this my pasta diary because it's like a love letter to this spaghetti. It's like that, you know that scene in Eat, Pray, Love where she's eating the spaghetti in Italy and it's just like, you can tell she's enjoying every bite and savoring every bite because it's just so good. That's how this spaghetti makes me feel. So that's what we're gonna make. So the first step for this recipe is that it includes something called garlic confit. And what it is, it's what I've gathered from Simmering on home cooking talking about it, and from Roy talking about it in the episode. It's where you slowly cook something in some kind of fat. So for this, it's garlic and oil, and you just really slowly cook it so that the garlic gets cooked but not roasted. Maybe, I don't know. But anyways, it's the key ingredient to the sauce. So Roy calls this, oh no, garlic down. Roy calls this his $4 spaghetti because it's based off of another chef's recipe, actually, that from like a restaurant who charged $24 for it. So Roy made his own version that is only like $4, because really all it includes is this garlic. So pretty much a whole head of garlic, which I think you know that means it's gonna be a good time. It also includes a mushroom broth, which in the episode and there's actually a version of the recipe online. It's in his cookbook. He makes a mushroom stock from mushrooms. I did that the first time, but it's extra effort. So now I just use like a mushroom broth cube, and that's how I get my mushroom broth. And then it's just San Marzano tomatoes, and that's it. That's all that is in the sauce. And I have never tasted such a good sauce in my life. So I can't stop saying that enough. We're gonna get the sauce going because it cooks for like an hour, and then I will show you the meatballs. Okay, so once the garlic is kind of that golden color and it's pretty tender when you press it with a fork, that's when I think it's supposed to be done. So you've got like a tender garlic, but then you've also got the oil infused with the garlic flavor. So all of it together is perfect to emulsify, or for emulsion in the sauce. I don't know, this is what Roy says. So then all you have to do is add most of the garlic, all of the garlic and most of the oil because you want to save a little bit of the oil to kind of drizzle on top to finish the dish when it all comes together. So I usually just save a tiny little bit for later. So that all goes in, and then the tomatoes all go in. Oh, and then you're just gonna bring this all to a boil, and then we add in the mushroom broth, and then we gotta blend it all up. The one thing with this recipe, even though there's not a lot of steps, the few steps that there are, they take a while, right? So the garlic cooked for probably about 30 minutes, just at a very low temperature to get it that consistent golden brown and tender. And then once this boils and you add the broth and you blend it, then you pretty much want it to sit for like an hour, just so that it really builds up the flavor. Like it'll get richer and richer, and it'll also thicken as it cooks longer. So those are the only steps to making the sauce, but because it takes time to make it good, you just have to prepare ahead of time, but you don't have to be that involved the whole time. That's what I like about it. Okay, so once the sauce is all smooth, like all the tomatoes are blended up, all of the garlic is blended up, and you've got a very smooth sauce, you basically just leave this to simmer for about an hour, pretty much while you do everything else, and it'll just thicken up and the flavor will build. And you also, towards the end, remember to season with salt and pepper and just like taste it to see if it needs more of that. But that's pretty much it. That's the amazing sauce ready to go. So now we gotta make the meatballs. Okay, so as the garlic was confying, that's a thing. You can also prep some of the things for the meatballs. So they use some freshly chopped parsley. If you don't have fresh, I've used dried before, and it's still gonna taste good. Another thing they add to the meatballs is some blended up onion. So it's just like to make it a little bit moister. Now I find with using Beyond, I've only ever made it with Beyond Meat, I find that it's already pretty moist. So if you are gonna add the onion, drain out some of the water if you can, and you don't have to add all of it if you feel like it's gonna be too much. So the thing about the meatball recipe is that there's no written version of it, and in the show, obviously they're not making it vegan, but they're also making a very large quantity of it. So when I'm watching it and when I'm trying to recreate it, I'm pretty much just guessing how much of everything to add. And one of the things that Jon Favreau asks Roy as they are making the meatballs is, how do you know if you've seasoned your meat properly, if it's raw and you're just gonna cook it all? And Roy says you always gotta taste test some of that meat before you cook all of it. So before I make all of the meatballs and before I bake them, I will taste test a little bit of the meat. Also, don't forget, I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning, but I roasted some garlic in the oven ahead of time. That is what makes this so good. Garlic in everything. So messy. There's definitely a less messy way to do this, but it's not really my style, I guess. Also, this will make your hands smell like garlic for the rest of the day and most of tomorrow. But I say it's worth it. Totally worth it. Okay, so I'm just gonna start mixing this in. I should have left one of my hands clean so that I could add the other ingredients, and now I'm a mess already. But as Roy says, once you've got even just these two ingredients mixed in there, you already know like it's looking like something good. And I agree. Okay, let me clean up a little bit so I can add the rest of the pieces. Didn't plan. Okay, so because I'm just doing it based off what I see Roy do, pretty much just guess with everything, go off of instincts, whatever those are. So he does a little bit of oil, a little bit, not too much, not too much. Okay, I want some. Am I out of oil? Oh, there it is. Panko. I like I said, I don't have measurements because every time I've done this, I've pretty much just guessed and never written anything down and just hoped for the best. Now, the first time I made it, that did backfire because I put way too much salt, but not because I was guessing. The salt just got away from me. So whatever you do, don't put too much salt in these because it was a terrible experience and I was so sad. But I made it again and it was all better. Okay, so some chili flakes, just a little bit, not too spicy. Oregano, maybe a lot. Parmesan. Roy likes to add a lot of Parmesan to this recipe, which I'm here for. I'm using the Earth Island one because it's freaking delicious. Add it in there. In his version, in the show, he adds fennel pollen. I don't have any of that, so I've just never added it. I don't know what I'm missing, but I know that these taste good anyways. So there. Sorry, Roy. So everything's pretty much mixed in, except for salt. Be careful. Be careful. Is there any salt in here? This might be empty. Pepper. Can I do this with one hand? So at this point, once I've added a little bit of all of the ingredients, and I feel like I've forgotten something, but I don't think I have, now I gotta test, because I have no idea what this is gonna taste like if I haven't added enough seasoning. So I will take just a little bit, just like this, a little bit. We're just gonna go cook it up to see if it tastes good. So that's it. Let's go test it. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see how it tastes. So good. Kind of hot. Could I add anything? I pretty much just always do this. Add more cheese. I can't not do it. Maybe that was a lot. Let's do a little bit more oregano. A little pepper. A little bit more panko. And I feel like we're good. Let me taste the other piece. Yeah. I think they're gonna be so delicious. I love them so much already. Okay, and now we just gotta get a baking sheet and cook them in the oven. Make them into meatballs. Let's go. Choi. Oh my god. It's so good. I never liked spaghetti and meatballs until I made this recipe. This is a game changer. Honestly, these meatballs, delicious. Oh, and the sauce, I'm so happy. It's so good. Seriously, you have to try this. If you're worried that it makes a really big quantity of sauce, which it does, and I am making this like a full portion of this for 4 other people, but if you have leftover sauce, we put it on pizza before and it's really good that way. Like it's just such a good tomato sauce for any time you might need one. I can't recommend it enough. Roy Choi is a genius. Turned me into a spaghetti and meatball lover. I never thought I'd see the day. And I also always say, the sign of a good pasta is that it still tastes just as good as leftovers the next day and the next day and the next day, even though this doesn't last that many days. But man, when I eat this tomorrow, it's still every bite. I'm like, how is this so good? So I, again, highly recommend you check it out. I will leave the recipe that I roughly followed for the sauce in the description box. You can check out the episode on the chef show. It's on Netflix. Again, bear in mind, it's not vegan. So they make their meatballs with beef and pork. If that makes you uncomfortable, totally understandable. You don't have to watch it. But that's what I based the flavoring of the meatballs off of. That's where I learned how to make the sauce and all of it. And it's so good. I can't recommend it enough. Just taking my voice away, taking my breath away. I'm just over here having my eat, pray, love moment with this pasta. What more do you need? Honestly, pasta these days, it's what we all need. I don't know what else to say because I just love this so much, but I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more pasta diaries, because honestly, I'm just really enjoying pasta right now. It's a good comfort food these days. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment your favorite pasta recipes maybe, or cooking shows that have inspired you, because that's what this did. And yeah, that's gonna be it. Kat, if you're watching this, I hope that you try this because it's really good. I know you've seen the episode and you love the show too, so obviously you should make it. It's so good. Yeah.